Gegard, as always, thank you for the time. You've got a very important fight coming up here on Thursday for the vacant middleweight title. Are you at all disappointed that you didn't get to rematch Rafael Lovato before the title was vacated?
Well, it's just a little bit. I felt like I could have won that fight, if so I wanted to prove that. But I've lost before. I moved on. I don't have sleepless nights over it.
Very good. And when you get a lot of the media talking about you with such glowing superlatives like best pound for pound fighter of all time, most underrated fighter of all time, how do you keep that from going to your head going into a big fight?
I don't even think of myself like that. So I just focus on finishing strong the career with wins. And I think Douglas Lima is in his prime. So beating him is going to definitely get me in talk because everyone sees him as one of the best welterweights. So I think if I have a dominant performance, that's going to get my name a little bit up. But I'm not even ranked in Sherdog in the top 10. So I don't know. It's an opinion of people.
Giancarlo?
Hi, Gegard. Last time the welterweight champion moved up, Roy McDonald took you on. Now Douglas Lima, what he's been able to do at welterweight. What are your thoughts on what you see from him, and how do you see this playing out on Thursday?
Well, he's a little bit bigger. His stand-up is a little bit better. He has a whole year to grow in his frame. He's been dominant. He's been champion, and he avenged his 2 losses. So I think his confidence is very high. And him seeing me as a not big middleweight, he feels like he can get the job done. So overall, I think his mental is the most dangerous about him. And of course, his low kicks and his punches are but I'm well prepared. I have no, a little bit worried, but that's good. Keeps me sharp.
And final one for me. You've been a guy who's fought at multiple weight divisions in your career. Now that you see what happened in the light heavyweight division, Vadim Nemkov holding the title, does that interest you in the future moving up to challenge him?
Yeah, I think after this is John Salter first, and then I'm all open for it. For me, I don't have the desire to be double champ. It's not like it's a goal of mine, but it's an accomplishment that would be nice to finish. But to be honest, I'd rather have it a little bit later, after 2-3 more fights in middleweight. But we'll see how the promotion thinks of it. I'm open to it.
Santiago?
Hi Gegard, Santiago hier.
Hey Santiago, goed.
Alles goed. Hi Gegard, did you get a new main sponsor in Ape Man Strong?
Yeah, they sponsored me for this fight. They sent a lot of gears, so I appreciate it.
2 weeks ago, Scott Coker said that he really wants to visit Amsterdam in the near future. How special would that be for you?
Yeah, very special. I think that's one of the things that I wanted to do because I never fought in Holland, at least in the beginning of my career when no one knew me and not so much. So at this stage of my career to fight there for my own crowd, that's one of the things I wanted to do. So that would be one of my goals, to be honest. Yeah.
Veel successful fight night, Gegard.
Thank you, Alfred.
Donna Corby, your line is now live.
Hi, Gegard. You fought in both divisions at this point.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are in the best middleweight division in the world between Bellator and the UFC?
I think I've showed that I can beat anybody when I show up. And for me, I don't even go there because fighting is not realistic. I'm not going to fight anytime in the UFC. So I don't compare myself to the UFC champion. But I take whoever they give me in Bellator. So I think Douglas Lima is a good name. And that's what I'm concentrated on.
Of course, a legend of your division, Anderson Silva, is going to hang up the gloves this weekend. I wanted to get your thoughts on seeing a legend, like I said, of that division retiring.
Well, yeah, he had a great career. I think in his prime, he looked unbeatable. He provided a lot of memorable fights, and is definitely a legend of the sport. Maybe continued a little bit longer than he should have. Tarnished his legacy just at the end, but in his prime, and that's what people are going to remember him as. So definitely one of the greatest.
Jay, go ahead.
Hey, thanks very much. And Gegard, you mentioned Anderson, and I was actually going to bring that up, but you also mentioned, him maybe hanging around too long. Is that something that you worry about at all, especially when you talk about maybe a few more fights at middleweight and then light heavyweight? How much does that weigh on you?
Well, at this moment, I feel great. To be honest, in training, I was better than ever. I'm stronger physically, mentally. So at this moment, when the results come, and if I keep win, lose, that's the sign that you're not what you think you are, But I think I've lost one in the last 10 fights, 11 fights, I don't know. So I bounced back. After this year, 2 more years, that's going to be certain. And then after that, I have to look at the body. I have to look at the results. And then we're going to decide if we continue maybe another year. But I'm not going to continue to 40. That's one thing for sure.
We have time for 1 or 2 more. Ben, go ahead.
Hey, Gegard. So you mentioned you've got 2 more definite years left. And you mentioned one thing earlier that you'd like to do is fight back in Holland. Is there anything else that you'd like to achieve during that time?
Maybe now they're working with Showtime and CBS, so maybe a boxing fight, but I don't know how realistic that is. I think if I want to do that, I have to have great performances in the next couple of fights, and maybe just for fun to do that, because I always grew up with boxing, and that was my dream, to be a boxing champion. So maybe a fun fight, I'm open to that.
And just one more. So you're going to be stepping in there with Lima, who was obviously, when you came to the promotion, was considered one of Bellator's biggest and toughest names. But you fought the best of the best throughout your whole career. Where does Lima stack up amongst the toughest opponents you're going to step in there with, or have stepped in there with?
Definitely one of the toughest, because also he's in his prime. So I'm facing Douglas Lima in his prime. So yeah, and I think one of the toughest. But as fight experience, sometimes you face the tough opponent, you can finish him in 2 rounds, 1 round. Sometimes an unknown name fighter give you the hardest fight. So I don't know. We'll see what kind of challenge he will bring. But definitely a very, very gamed and tough opponent to face.
Our final question comes from the line of Lenny March. Go ahead, Lenny.
How's it going, Gegard? How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, as someone mentioned earlier, that Anderson Silva will be hanging out this weekend. He's a UFC legend, MMA legend in the middleweight division, the same division that you fight in now. Is a fight between you and Anderson Silva, would you have liked to happen that in the past? Maybe getting Anderson Silva on your resume also?
Yeah, especially when I was in UFC, we were looking for that fight. So because a win over Anderson is, it goes in the history books. So, but unfortunately, it never happened. And but I don't have any regrets not fighting him. I never thought of that like that. Let's say.
All right. Thanks, Gegard. Good luck this week.
Thank you, guys.